All right, how's this for a setup? This microphone comes with it's like a table clamp. You screw it in, clamps onto the table so you can put it anywhere. So I got it clamped onto the shelf. So hopefully it's clear audio. I think it's better than the camera, that Canon camera I was using. And I got my laptop on the dish shelf. And there's like 8 new guys at my friend's lodge right here, and sound rips across the water easy. So there's going to be like 8 guys drinking up there and having fun for their big fishing trip. So it would have been a little too loud to have it outside. A little bit of conflict in sound. So I'm going to sit right here in the doorway of the boaty. So that was a successful couple days with a bunch of great people. And I think I'm on day 6 straight tomorrow or something. I don't know. I don't even know what day it is. One more day, and then I get to go home for a handful. Now, quick note. So I don't know how. Apparently, it's common practice for a lot of people. They just grab. I don't even know how to do it. How do you download somebody's video off from, people will take and repost, well, even my videos from YouTube or Facebook videos or Instagram videos and repost them. I don't know how to do that, because I was telling the young native girl that I know that if I could get her video of that thing that she saw right above the road I drive nonstop, I could put it on my editing program and I could light it up and we could see the shape of whatever it was that had a light. So it's hard to show you in the screenshots, but what she recorded with her phone above her car looked like it had a whole long edge to it, and lights were going brrr, 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 like that. And I screenshot a couple times. I was so tired and I gave up, but that's what it was. You could clearly see it was lights rotating around the edge of something. And she said it was about the height of the trees off the road. And many other friends of hers have seen the same thing from that road to Nit Nat on Vancouver Island. And then, of course, we had our superhero ladies. They grew up seeing many things similar to this, not too far away from there as well. Am I a big UFO buff? Nope. I got enough on my plate. But just the fact that it is right in my freaking backyard, right where I have seen these beings, right where I've heard them recently when I steelhead fish, where I take you guys, where I've heard the howls, where the dog's gone crazy. That's where this is happening, right very close to there as well. Is it linked up? Everything's linked up in our lifetime. Everything is. So, yeah, I have some interest in that. I just would really like to be able to download her Facebook video to my computer so I could edit it and lighten it up and see exactly what was right above her car. I have interest in it because I know the person. I know the road. I travel it all the time. It's my backyard. So it's got me interested. I just want to see exactly what it kind of looked like. But one thing for me is, if you are a advanced being with a craft, why do you need lights on it? What's up with the lights? The lights thing for me seems to possibly be a man-made feature, I think. Don't you? I mean, let's face it, if you're that advanced, you can travel, allegedly go planet to planet or galaxies to galaxies or warp light speed traveling and not rip your organs apart. You probably are beyond having to have traffic lights on the outside of your craft. Don't you think? I think so. But anyways, I just want to see what kind of craft that is. And from the looks of her video, I'm quite certain I could do that. I guess once I get home and settle in, I got some time, I'll Google it up and see how to do it, and I'll grab it. Now, what's this? Random. Seems sometimes when I talk about something and I go to the first email, it's on the similar topic. It's kind of weird. So what do we got? This is titled, "It was shaped like a triangle." Recent email in. "Hi Steve, I've been a subscriber now for at least 3 years, and I've been thoroughly enlightened and educated by the stories that your subscribers have been sharing with you. Thank you for everything you do to share the truth and the knowledge with humanity and all those truth seekers like myself who are sick to death of all the lies. No problem. Too easy. This is my true story about otherworldly truths that are still to this day being kept hidden from humanity. Although this is not a Sasquatch or hellhound encounter, it was an encounter with the same family of beings which I categorize as foot soldiers of the dragon of old. The New World refers to them as cryptids. To begin with, I'm a 62-year-old female born and raised in California. I've lived a hard and difficult life as opposed to being born with a silver spoon in my mouth, like most of us. I'm the product of my experiences and my upbringing in life. All were opportunities for me to grow and learn and strengthen my backbone. I don't know what fear is. It is an emotion I have never felt flowing through my veins, but only a few times when I was younger and naive. I was told that I was born with a warrior spirit. Many years ago, sorry you guys, I was told that I was born with a warrior spirit many years ago by my Cherokee grandfather. I will tell you that back in 1980, I had an extreme close encounter with an alien craft and its occupants that lasted about 10 minutes. Their ship came to hover directly above my car, only 100 feet above it. How the hell are we reading an email like this after I shared what I was recently talking about yesterday? Isn't that random? How many times have we done this on here? I've talked about something, and then I dive into the emails, which we open together. I don't know what they're about, and it's related to what I was just talking about. Weird. Here we go. Only 100 feet above it. By the way, they can read your thoughts telepathically. That is how some people can meditate on them, and they will manifest or materialize. But let me tell you, doing so equates to dancing with the devil, so I don't advise it. Anyway, this ship was a very large ship, shaped like a triangle with the nose cut off. And there were two very large, round, white, glowing lights there that did not emit a ray of light, as the lights on a car do, but rather just a glow, and it was huge, the size of a football field, just sitting there hovering above my car, so close I could reach out and touch it. I saw every detail of it except the back and the top of it. It was thick, about 4 to 5 feet thick, and with very sharp angled sides. It had compartments with little red and blue lights all underneath it in different areas that did not blink. It did not make a sound at all, but rather a low decibel, deep humming sound. There was no air movement underneath it because I remember looking around at the bushes to see if they were moving, and they were still. I finally stopped my car and I got out and I stared directly up at it intently with no fear in me whatsoever. A few moments later, after I stepped out of my car, it took off in warp speed mode and disappeared in the blink of an eye. They realized I was anointed. I would have been abducted that day had it not been for my Savior and King whose blood has anointed me. These aliens are actually demons. They are forbidden by the Almighty and it cannot touch a hair on your head if your name is written in the Lamb's Book of Life. They have no power over you. If you are a member of the anointed army of Jesus Christ, then no harm shall befall you. I saw them pick up close and personal. I saw them up close and personal. I immediately knew once I stepped out of my car that they were demon foot soldiers of Satan. I knew it in my heart and soul. I've never had another encounter with them. I laugh when I hear people say, oh, we saw this light moving in the sky, or a group of lights flying erratically on the horizon, or we saw an orb. You all would have shit your pants if you saw what I saw that night at approximately 2 a.m. while driving home from my boyfriend's house. It was massive, and it was hovering directly above my car. So much so that I had to roll down my window and stick my head out to see all of it. I could only see a portion of it when I looked at it through my windshield. That's when I said to myself, what the hell? And I stopped my car and I got out and stared that SOB down. We are more powerful than anyone on this planet would allow us to know. They, pastors, our theological leaders, bishops, popes, and politicians, the global elites, etc., want you to be fearful. They want you to be shocked. They want you to be anxious, not knowing what they are, friend or foe. We are not seeded by them. They are not part creation. They are the children of the dragon of old. We are God's creation. They need to fear the anointed because we hold the power of the Son of God within us and can cast them straight into hell and Hades. Refuse to live in fear. Stand strong and know the power you have over the darkness and the foot soldiers of Satan, as they are a legion and they are all around us. Their days of wreaking havoc on the children of God are numbered. The knowledge of the truth will empower you and set you free from their bondage and fear-mongering. Feel free to use my name, Steve, as I fear no one and nothing. Not even the devil, nor his foot soldiers, has a hold of me, on me. So bring it. God bless you and your family, Steve. You too have a warrior spirit and aren't taking shit from anyone. I especially enjoy your little impromptu sidebars at the end of your videos. You are priceless, and I wish there were more men like you on this planet. I pray you walk the straight line and narrow path that will lead you to salvation and an eternity in his kingdom where truth resides and the darkness is no longer. Angelique Wilson. There you go. Another person has a craft hovering over their frickin' car. Appreciate your message of bravery, spreading the bravery to the people. I appreciate that big time. I love it when people aren't afraid, and I love it when people encourage people to not be afraid. I love that. And I agree, there's got to be a lot of foot soldiers of evil, dark sons of bitches around. They're in our face every day, right? There's no denying it. You can't get out of that fact. And there you go. Okay, here's the title. Ready for this? This is titled, are you ready for this? Are you all ready for this one? Question mark. We're always ready here. Here we go. Hi, Steve. You may use my name. It is Lynn Belding. We are Sasquatch and they are us. Multiple thousands of years ago, there was a race of aliens named, quote, those who from heaven to earth came, end quote, on the planet Earth, who manipulated the DNA of already evolving existing primates, Homo sapien, mother unknown, father Sasquatch, in order to create a race of slaves. Homo sapien sapien, us. Sasquatch are not the hybrids, we are the hybrids. Apparently there's been an ongoing war between aliens and the fate of the Homo sapiens sapien, us. Should we be allowed to continue to exist or not? It is not God and the devil involved in our Earth story. Rather, it is competing alien life forms. One side wants us to go on and evolve to our full potential, and the other wants to eventually wipe us out, all the while using us as food, feeding off the fear in humans. This is as far as I will take it, but if you find this interesting, like I did, check out some of the endless books on the subject. Just look up Anunnaki Origins. I have nothing but love for this channel and all the Homo sapiens sapiens that are part of it. Lynn Belding. All right, there you go. It's a bold statement, but in a way, it makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, there's no denying it. We are a slave race. Don't even think you aren't for 1 second. We are a slave race with amnesia on our true history. That's an absolute fact. Why? Hopefully we'll find out. Hopefully we'll find out. Wouldn't it be great, absolutely great to be absolutely free? Roam the planet, be friendly and happy, and do all the things we want to do without anybody governing, stopping, or making it unaffordable for you to do it. Right? We're the only species on this planet that has to pay to live. Think about that one. It's not right. This next email, thank you so much for that email, by the way. This next email is titled The Puyallup Screamer. Hi, Steve. First, I want to thank you for another contribution to the Bigfoot world. For your contribution to the Bigfoot world, and want to let you know that I really appreciate the personal integrity and lack of any sort of agenda or personal bias you might otherwise bring to it. Appreciate the kind words. My story isn't going to be as exciting as some, but it does place me at a sort of a historical event, which I think might be at least interesting to some. The event is the well-known Bigfoot sighting, Flap, that took place in Puyallup, Washington in 1973. This is when/where the Puyallup screen was recorded, and here's a link. Do I have... Will it work? Will this be great if it does? Hold on a minute. I got service. Hold on. Let's listen to this. All right, it worked. Yeah, we've all heard that. I've heard that. It's one of the classics, isn't it? I was 10 years old at the time, and we lived on Shaw Road on 40 acres. My backyard was the edge of what at that time was called the Forest Green area. Now it's destroyed, but at that time it was basically nothing but forest all the way to Mount Rainier. I would hang out in that forest with my best buddy, Scott. Scott, are you out there? In brackets. From morning till night. And we were well aware of what Sasquatch was, but the only thing I do recall was being very creeped out by shadowy things that seemed to occasionally be seen by me moving just behind the tree line along Shaw Road, which was visible from my bedroom window. The big event, May of 1973, was when my friend was staying over to watch the late night sci-fi show. Don't remember what day, but happened every weekend. So, in the middle of Godzilla or whatever it was, one of those, quote, "We interrupt this show for a special news bulletin," end quotes, started blurting out. And they proceeded to advise that Bigfoot had been sighted numerous times in the Forest Green area and actually advised caution. So, of course, what do? Snuck out and go tromping around the forest. Nothing happened that night. The next day, though, we went out again and, sure enough, found a trail with big, fat, rain-soaked tracks. For some reason, it remained our secret, but we also found a giant hole in the ground about 15 feet deep and 3 feet in diameter. So my dog had just drug home a big rotten salmon, so we went and got it and threw it in the hole. We also put twigs across the trail where we found the tracks and eventually went home. The next day, the salmon in the hole was gone. Twigs were broken and more prints were found. The next day, about 7 of us kids heard about the gravel pit sightings and decided to walk down there. We arrived to very weird vibes and silence. We were only there for about 5 minutes, and we heard a growly rumble and immediately ran like rabbits. One of those nights, my whole family, including my Kansas grandma, all were awakened by crazy screams. And they all gathered in the living room listening. I slept through it, LOL. All this went on for a little while, and the residents were so unnerved they all started carrying guns and keeping them close at hand. Eventually it blew over, but we still remember, me fondly so. By the way, wonder if you've ever heard of Kawani Lasperitis. He might be the original woo guy in the Bigfoot world. A lot of these people I view with skepticism, but I think there's something to this guy. I don't have Sasquatch dreams, but once I had a conversation with him via messenger, and he said, quote, "Well, you might have a visit tonight," end quote. I went to bed and had the craziest Bigfoot dream. A huge male with a female. Male had hackles standing up on his shoulders, and he and the female were exchanging hand signals like sign language. I was hidden under a huge log watching, and the female walked down the log while I was under it. And get this, while I was watching, there were hundreds of blue orbs flying up toward the male on the higher ground. I wasn't really scared, mostly just amazed. Anyway, he's, quote, out of the scene for quite a while now. I think I know why, but was thinking he might make a heck of a guest on the show. Okay, sorry this is so long. Be well, sir, and call me Alan. All right, Alan, I appreciate that email. That's really interesting. Really interesting, especially having the family affair. And the warning coming on TV, that's crazy. I never heard of that happening. but I wasn't really around. I was kind of around, but I was a little peanut. But I have heard that name before. I don't know who that person is. Maybe somebody might want to hook me up, send me a link or something. And then maybe once I finally get time. But like I said before, this is my crazy time of the year. Now, 1 second. This laptop, I don't know why, but the home screen comes on. There we go. It's back. Excuse me. This is all I can do right now. Until I get this one. I think I have just under 2 weeks left of this, I think. Appreciate that email. Big time. Very interesting. This next email is titled California to Texas. Hey Steve, my name is Chris Mixon, and I moved from Orange County, California to Texas in 2022. My wife and I left for obvious reasons and are thrilled to be here. We live together with my 19-year-old son in Katy, about a half an hour west of Houston. We live north of what is called Old Town Katy, in a large new development of houses similar to many that are springing up in much of Texas. I would not consider myself an outdoor type person, although I grew up surfing from a young age. I fished in the lake behind our home from time to time. I've caught a few fish. It is Texas, you know, haha. Our development is in an area that until very recently was open rice fields. Well, my son works at a barbecue restaurant in Old Town Katy. As he doesn't have a driver's license yet, I drive him to and from at least 4 times a week. I'm grateful for his initiative to find and keep a great job, so I happily taxi him for the time being. Does it happen that if you find yourself making a drive repeatedly on the same roads, you can slip into a sort of an autopilot made while driving? Perhaps you can relate to being able to let yourself drift into deep contemplations while you drive. That's all I do. That's all I do. Talk to myself when I'm driving big time. Well, I was going to pick up my son from work a few months ago at approximately 7:50 p.m. dusk. I was traveling east on Clay Road from Bartlett towards the crossroads at Pitts Road. It is a mile stretch with a development called Lake House on the north side of Clay and private undeveloped properties on the south side. Hopefully these properties remain undeveloped. They are beautiful and represent what we believe is true Texas. But I digress. As I approached the Lake House stretch, I was in the autopilot consciousness mode, thinking probably about how to steer my son into a trade or career that will fulfill him in life or some such. Approximately 250 yards ahead of my vehicle, I vaguely noticed a figure running fast from the north of Clay across to the south, across the road and into the south side properties. The south side is dense with native trees and scrub brush. The trees and brush start perhaps 25 feet from the edge of the asphalt. Still deep in thought, my brain said, "Oh, a coworker guy doing something," which was in a way was rational, as the homes around here are constantly being built and many workers are always present. So then I again vaguely noticed he appeared to have had on the type of tan jumpsuit that mechanics wear. Or that's where my brain went. I was traveling about 45 miles per hour, and in the 12 or 15 seconds it took to get to the spot where he crossed, the situation came fully to my consciousness, and I replayed it in my mind and noticed he would have had to have been big and crossed Clay Road in 3 or 4 steps. The tan color had actually covered him entirely head to toe. When I got to the actual place of the crossing, he was nowhere to be seen, not in the brush, and no disturbance of the brush, nothing. So I don't know. That's kind of it. Not super crazy, and I really can't say for sure what I saw, but in listening to your emails, many people mention a use of consciousness by these beings in communication or other ways. Perhaps that was involved in my experience. I appreciate you for hosting these stories. I for sure believe they are here. Thanks again, Chris. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that. And you know what? You know what I'm going to say, probably, if you've been here for a while. You know what you saw. You know what you saw. The fact you went out of your way to look into the subject on your own, found this channel, found the email, sent it in. You know what you saw. And so do we. And you're not alone. Man, oh man, are you not alone. This is one big club. Appreciate you sending that in. Keep us updated. Keep us posted on your knowledge that comes in. Section was titled, What Throws Logs in the Kentucky Woods? We'll give you 3 guesses. Hello, Steve. Don't use my name. Please. I got you. I live in the western tip of Kentucky. Land between the lakes is close by. A well-known outdoor destination. I bet you may have heard of it. Yeah, on this channel lots of times. My encounter with the unknown takes place August 16th, 2016. I grew up here hunting and fishing, mostly deer and turkey. I've been in the woods alone from an early age. I'm not afraid of the woods, although I will say I feel differently about them now, though. I still go in the woods. I won't be scared. The experience has left me with so many questions all these years later, and I still have no answers. My encounter goes like this. A friend and I used to get out and ride quads all around. We rode on mostly West Vaco paper mill territory where they were growing pine trees. But this day we were on some trails that we'd never been on before on some private property. I discovered these trails the previous spring while working ground to plant soybeans for a farmer friend. I remember thinking, as I saw these trails and the woods from the cab of a tractor, that I wanted to one day explore this area. So when I had the chance to go riding with a friend later on in August, I knew right where to go. We left the highway right outside of Salem, Kentucky, and started up the trail. We were both riding Hondas. I was on my Foreman 500, and my friend was riding my 350 Rancher. We were about 100 yards in the trail, and the trail split to the left. I was leading, and upon coming up to the split, I decided it was a good spot to stop and discuss where we were headed. It was late evening, and we sat there, about 20 minutes talking. We both were off for quads, and I distinctly remember standing in front of my quad, leaning against it, and onto my front rack. Nothing seemed out of place, nothing weird, nothing. We decided to go, and by that time it was dark in the woods. My friend and I were getting on our quads at the same time. He's on my left. And as I sat down and reached up to turn the key on, all of a sudden there was a very loud whack. Very sudden and unexpected. And I thought something had literally exploded in front of my four-wheeler. My four-wheeler shook, and I felt debris and dirt pepper my face. Now at that moment, I felt like I was in this state of mind when I was confused, where I was confused, and my brain was steady, computing what was going on, but I was in some sort of a daze, it seemed. I asked my friend, "What did you do?" I looked at his face, and all I saw was just a look of terror, which at that time my brain had steadily been telling me, yes, be scared, be very scared. This situation is wrong, it's all wrong. The next thing I knew was my friend had started up and spun around and headed out, leaving me behind. That's some shitty backup. I hate shitty backup. That's when the mind speak came in my head as plain as day, and it said, "Do not come this way any further." I started up and went straight for reverse. I was backing up very quickly, and that's when my headlights shined at a chunk of wood that no man could throw. Steve, this piece of wood was 4 feet long and anywhere from 10 inches down to 5 inches in diameter. It had just came straight down the trail. This is August with the leaves on the trees, and this thing didn't come from above. This had been thrown down the trail, not hitting any limbs, only my four-wheeler. This piece of wood was just a piece of wood you'd find out in the woods. No saw marks of any kind, just a natural, huge piece of wood. I saw this piece of wood and knew immediately that's what had been thrown. My fear intensified at that point, and I swear right then and there, I thought Sasquatch. And I'll say this again, Steve. I did not know of any man that could grab and throw this and not be in sight or earshot. It was like I tried to tell myself during all this that I need to just hold on a sec because it's all going to get figured out. But it never did. But instead, it was the raw emotion of fear and the feeling of doom and next breath death. I never saw anything, and neither did my friend. We don't talk anymore, but not because of this. But I know one thing. He doesn't go in the woods anymore because of not only this, but because of previous times he was out and certain feelings overcame him. I think this was the nail in the coffin for him. Anyways, I have lots of different feelings and emotions and questions about this, but that may be something to talk about another day. I've had a couple of weird instances since this, but nothing as scary as this. Worthy of mentioning, but I'll include it in a later email maybe. I've told very few people. I'm not sure if they believe me. I want to say thank you for doing what you're doing. Take care up there in Canada. All right, make sure you send it. Just send it. Okay, man? Just send it. You did a great job sharing this first one. I absolutely appreciate it. We've had a handful of people get stuff thrown at them. We've had I remember those two guys emailed in. The one guy emailed in, he was doubling his friend on the quad, and all of a sudden the quad flipped forward from being flicked up and in behind. That's a shitty thing to do, especially quads, especially anything. Why? Why pick on simple, innocent human beings that are just attempting to live life and have fun, right? But anyway. You gotta scare the shit out of anybody, right? You don't mind speak again. Get the hell out of here now. Don't come any further. It definitely shows one thing, though, aside from all the terrifying shit, it shows us that, excuse me, on average, they're not really trying to destroy us, right? Why bother warning? Why bother doing the mind speak thing? You know? There's a lot of confusing shit going on that just doesn't make sense. But like many people who are familiar with these people say flat out, they don't think the same as us. And if you keep that, and I try to keep that thought in my mind so I can get a grip on me being so frustrated at times trying to make sense, where things just don't make sense of what they do. You know? Now I'm in another folder. Where was it? I had a whole bunch of unread ones I'd found of people waiting. What's this? Did I read this before? We're going to find out. I hope not. But it's harmless, right? And hey, if it makes you angry, you can always go get your refund at the door, right? For your ticket here. All right, here we go. What's this titled? No title. His team name is Josh. I'm from a small town in Colorado, and my experiences weren't really exciting as much as an encounter. My family and friends went up into the mountains, Pike National Forest, to play around. We're camping, sharing a tent with about 7 of us inside. I have no idea of time, but I guess about 1 a.m. or so. I'm a very heavy sleeper, but I trust my sixth sense explicitly. Good for you. Major, super huge bingo in life, if you can do that. You're going to be winning for a long time in life if you can do that. The world just went quiet, which is what woke me up. I opened my eyes and I listened intently. I started looking around in a groggy state and looked up to the top of our 10-man tent and couldn't see anything. My eyes wandering around the tent at my friends. All of them are currently passed out. I want to pause for a second and clarify. My dad was Army and has always taught me to be honest, be confident in what you say or do, and above everything else, trust your gut. That being said, this is the first time I've ever said this to anyone. I was around 14 or so in high school and was a hefty big boy and had pretty big hands. As I lay there waiting and listening to the sounds around me, I heard a twig snap on the ground behind us. As I snapped my head towards that sound and saw this huge shadow of a hand, and I mean huge hand, dragging along our tent wall. I put my hand close to it at the time, and I wore size large gloves, and it was easily double that size. I looked around my friends, still asleep. It started circling the tent, dragging its hand along as it got over my head. I did something stupid. Oh, I did read this, but I'll read it again. I reached up and smacked the hand. There was a soft, surprised grunt. I could feel the stunned feeling and then the soft, heavy sounds moving away from the tent. I went back to sleep and got up the next morning and looked around and I saw nothing. I asked my dad, as he was the only one bigger than me present, and if he had got up to pee during the night. He responded, "No. Your sister was sound asleep all night and I didn't want to wake her. She was recovering from an ear infection." He asked why and I didn't answer. I just said I was curious. My gut told me it meant no harm, but the size still amazes me. Anyways, I know I've rambled on and I've never shared this with anyone before. I wasn't quite sure what to make of it. The place it happened, I grew up dirt biking all the time. Felt like being watched a couple of times, but your channel has convinced me to come forward and share. Thanks for all you do and God bless, and feel free to use my name. Thanks for your time. And I'll thank you for your time. J.R. Patrick. Josh Patrick, appreciate you, man. If you're still here, I hope you are. And if you've learned anything since, send it to me. And why was this saved without being read? Marked as being read. Why? I can't help, I don't know why, but I think about my upcoming fall. Sarah's going to come up with me for, she'll last a handful of days. And then I'm going to drive to the next town, put her on a plane, and she's going to fly home. Then I'm going to go back in the woods by myself for, I don't know, who knows how long. But I don't know why. I'm thinking about it almost daily. I just got a funny feeling something's going to go down while she's with me up there. And I wonder what. My gut's screaming that something's going to go down. I don't know why. I hope it doesn't traumatize her to the point of no return, you know what I mean? But somebody up there is really trying to get my attention without a doubt. And as well around our house. Why? Don't know. I guess we'll find out. One more, and then I gotta go to bed. This is titled Yosemite Experience. Hello, Steve. My name is Ken. I sent this to you previously, but realized I didn't tell you my name. Feel free to use my name. I'm too old to give a rip about what closed-minded assholes say about what I believe. I really appreciate the platform you have provided for the thousands of individuals to share who have had these experiences. I know I'm not alone in supporting 100%. Here's my story. Appreciate the kind words, man. It was about 1969. My family went on a camping trip to Kings Canyon, Sequoia, Yosemite, and on to the Grand Canyon. We were at a campground in Yosemite. It was summer. The place was packed. My family consisted of 6 in a surplus army tent that was the size of a large cabin. So it seemed to me at 9 years, So it seemed to me at 9 years old anyway. We all slept in sleeping bags on the floor of the tent. Anyway, I awoke during the night to a sound of someone or something walking around our tent. At first I thought it was my father returning from the privy, but I quickly noticed he was snoring and asleep next to me. The footsteps sounded heavy, and whatever it was bipedal. I remember being scared and thinking at first it's a bear. But then I was what looked like fingers. I think he probably meant, but then it was what looked like fingers poking at the side of the tent. To this day, I can still see that it was not claws, but a human-type hand outlined, just pushing on the top of the tent. Mind you, it was over 6 feet at the point of the ceiling. So whatever it was standing up. I shook my father awake, and he said, "What?" in a startled voice. Whatever it was obviously heard and walked off. I explained why I woke him up, and he said it was probably just a bear, and said, "Don't worry about it," and went back to sleep. It took a while, but I eventually went back to sleep. And in the morning, the campground was just a buzz with people talking about what apparently was a bear that came through the campground and disrupted the whole place. There were rangers everywhere, assuring the campers that it was a bear and no reason for concern, that it happens all the time. I was not convinced. I tried to tell my parents what I had seen, but they insisted that it was a bear, and just to forget it. I recall asking the ranger if bears walked around on 2 legs all the time, because I thought they just walked on all 4s. The way he looked at me, I'll never forget. Sorry. He looked at my father and said, smart kid. Then back to me and said, they stand up when they need to. Anyway, it's taken years to come to the conclusion that I may have experienced a Bigfoot. The numerous stories of people having the same type of experience with all these beings touching tents brought it all back. Thank you again for the hard work and the effort you put into providing a platform for the thousands of people to get the stories heard. Take care. There you go. I don't think I read that before, but there's been no shortage of tents being pushed in. Has there? Doesn't that suck, though? I mean, seriously. That's like the beginning of not the beginning, but that's a common theme in a lot of horror frickin' movies we've all been raised on watching, right? What's that? What's outside the tent, you know? Anyway, there'll be a lot of that coming up for me soon. Oh, well, whatever. Anyway, I'm going to get ripping. But I had a couple thoughts recently. Sometimes I wake up and I can't sleep. I'll listen to people speak. And I think I'm starting to become more convinced myself, not that I really have that much interest in why or how they make sounds. I'm looking for the bigger questions for me. I want to know why we're being lied to about everything. I want to know why. I want to know our true history, you know? So I'm just saying, before I mention this, I don't really lose too much sleep over footprints, screams, photographs, video. I just don't. I've seen these people. I've seen them. I'm good. Moving forward for me. That doesn't mean you have to have the same attitude I do. I'm just saying. I get it. They're here. Where are they coming from? Why are we being lied to? Why aren't we taught about them? Why not? Right? That's what I am digging for in my puzzle pieces, mostly. But listening to various people, I have come to the conclusion for myself that the classic tree knock sounds, I think I'm accepting that this is made with their mouth. These sounds of the tree knocks, what we refer to as tree knocks, I am more convinced now than ever that those sounds are made with their mouth. There you go. Thought I'd drop that little thought in there. Noisy dudes up there. The beer must be getting thick. The fog's really rolling in. Great. It's going to be a frickin' radar day tomorrow. Kind of sucks. But I'm going to sign off. Next time I do this, I'll probably be at home. And I'm probably going to have somebody on here who has a lot of knowledge, first-hand knowledge, and has actually been picked up by one of these people. So, agreed to finally come on and share his knowledge with all of you through me, all right? Share my story at howtohunt.com. You got some serious truth that are going to help your community, dump it here. I'll get it shared. And all the links to anything you're curious of related to this channel are in the video description below. What day is it today? Thursday? Wednesday? Wednesday. All right? Make sure you're doing what you love to do. Crack those doors open for your children to discover what they love to do too, all right? I'll talk to you all later.